Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us again on the Inspire Health podcast. And I want to do a quick shout out to all of our new listeners on UK Health Radio, the world's #1 talk health radio. We're super excited to be collaborating with them, and we hope that all of you get to enjoy all of the different episodes that we bring to you every week. So if you're new to this channel, then go and check out at the inspirehealthpodcast.com, and you can check out all of the different episodes that we've done. We've had about 200 now, just about. This is episode 198. One thing that's unique about our channel is that we often run series. So we will take a topic and then we will get a bunch of different experts and visionaries and game changers in that field, and then we round it out. And it's often very diverse. Everything kind of ties back to health in a lot of different ways, but what we need to understand is that health is not just physical. Health is multidimensional, and we are multidimensional beings. So we need to look at health from a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and metaphysical perspective in order to really understand what's going on and to operate in this life from a way that's going to ultimately be in our highest good. So check out the different series. We've got a whole bunch of different ones if you're not aware of them. We've done series on detox from a multidimensional perspective. We've looked at energy, frequency, vibration, magnetics, the next era of healthcare. We've done Know Thyself. We've looked at children's health. We've looked at mind-body medicine. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them. So if you go to the website, you can check on series and you'll see all the different ones that we've done. A lot of really awesome information, I think, out there. We did one called Science, Mysticism, and Beyond, Exploring Our Greater Reality, and it was a really fascinating way of talking to all sorts of different people as we were trying to navigate what was going on in the world a few years back. So we've just kind of progressed since then, and we keep having these awesome series. The new one that's going to be coming up is around the concept of creating New Earth and a collaborative mission. And I want to talk to experts in all sorts of different areas, from education, health, and homesteading, and getting back to nature, and all of these different ways and how we can support ourselves in moving forward. While you're at the inspirehealthpodcast.com website, check out the courses. We've got a whole area called Inspire Life Multiversity where we will be running more and more online courses. Both myself and my wife will be doing that, and we'll be collaborating with different guests that we interview that we think have a really incredible message that we want to share with you and make it tangible. This is the difference right now, is it can't just be intellectual knowledge. We need to be able to have an experience with it and make it tangible and then integrate it into our lives. Right now, that's what we're doing on my newest course called Nature Care Solutions, Reclaim Your Power to Heal. If you missed that one, just click on it and join the wait list, and then we will let you know when the next course will be running, and then we can get you in on that. There's a couple of other things that are there too that you can check out, and there's also some free downloads, so you can get the free meditation, Accessing Your Heart's Wisdom, if you haven't already done that. It's a wonderful meditation. It's a really powerful tool when you are having troubles making decisions. So often when we're stressed and we're not making good decisions, we're up here in our head, and we need to be able to slow things down, get out of that sympathetic fight or flight dominance, and get back into a heart-centered area where we can ask the same question and then learn to discern the nuances in the body and how it responds. So if you haven't checked that out, go and do it. It's just a free download. You can go and access it, and then anytime you are making big decisions in your life, make sure that you do that type of an exercise and see what your body and your heart is telling you. I think it's incredibly valuable, particularly right now. Now, in today's episode, we interview Britain's #1 psychic medium, Nicky Alan, and she's been a renowned psychic for like 31 years. She's an absolute riot and a really fun interview, and we had a great conversation, and she's had a lot of experience speaking with spirits that have crossed over on the other side. And given that the current series we're doing is on life, death, and beyond, exploring our greater reality, I wanted to get her insights on what's actually going on the other side. What's it like to communicate with people on the other side? What are they saying? What is it like on that side? And so she shares a lot of that information, but we go so much farther. We get into a lot of stuff around health and chronic illness. She had been suffering for a period of time and still is with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, something that we're actually going to be collaborating on to see if we can help her out with that as well, which we'll talk more about soon. But she's been dealing with that for some time. So we want to talk about the metaphysics around chronic illness and what's going on and why. We also talk about the role with our kids and connecting to the spirit child. And we also talked to her about what is going on in the world today. And it's been a wild ride, to say the least, over the past several years. And I want to get her perspective on what's been going on, as well as just what might be coming up. What is she aware of? And we dive into some of that and that was a really interesting section of this overall conversation. So, as far as what's coming up, what you can maybe expect, and how you can navigate that from a place of more inner authority. So I really appreciated this interview with Nicky, and I'm sure we'll have her back on the show again at some time. I hope you guys enjoy it, and please feel free to leave comments. Let us know what you would like to know more about, and then we can see if we can pull that into a series and bring in the guests to round that topic out as best as possible. All right, everybody, much love to all of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Inspire Health Podcast. And we are continuing on with our series on life, death, and beyond, exploring our greater reality. And today we have Nicky Alan, renowned psychic of 31 years. For 18 years, she was a police officer and trained detective in Essex Police. Following medical retirement in 2003 and by public demand, she has achieved a very high profile in the spiritual industry as a full-time psychic medium, spiritual teacher, writer, and angel expert. She's been published in many magazines, carried out European theater tours, made radio and television appearances, and authors of Rise and Fall of Britain's Best Psychic Medium and M.E. Myself and I, Diary of a Psychic, A Miracle Journey Surviving Chronic Illness. And today we are going to listen to Nicky share her insights around what lies beyond this greater reality. So, Nicky, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure. We were just discussing before, weren't we, about how those little, I don't know if it's spirit energy, angel energy, just frequency of light workers and people that connect like that. But again, we've had technical issues, but that's absolutely fine. I like mentioning it because when I look back at all these videos, I look at how many times they interfere with it. I love it. It is a pain though, isn't it? Because when you're sitting waiting for a sign, nothing happens. And then when you're sitting there trying to get a video on, they're doing it all the time. I don't know if you saw it just before we started. There's a big white flash just went past me. I'm like, hello, what's going on there? Anyway, thank you for having me.
It's true. Right before we started, our entire system had a whole bunch of glitches and noises, and we had to reboot the whole thing. And hopefully it all works well now. So
yes, they're all settled now. They're all ready to listen, the same as everybody else, hopefully.
Nicky, you've got such a fascinating story, and in your books, you really outline, I mean, it's like amazing story after amazing story, just on and on and on. So I think when people can dive into that, they can really get a feel for you and your whole journey around everything. But you come from like a long lineage of psychic mediums. And I'm just wondering, as far as when did you know that you were kind of tapped into the same gifts in the same way?
Well, do you know what? It was never hugely, I am a psychic medium, but my granddad was like Gandalf from Lord of the Flies. I'm being really, really Lord of the Rings. Being really, really weird now. Do you know Gandalf? You know, this big wise person, or a Yoda of spirituality, my granddad was. And he came from seventh son. And we know it goes back at least 4 or 5 generations. So it wasn't really a big statement of him being this kind of guru, because he was like, the last seventh son, and he was very gifted. He was used to Scotland Yard to, solve murders and all sorts of things. And he didn't really, make it obvious. When I was about 3, most probably 3 or 4 years old, I used to dream that my soul used to walk out of my body and watch a light that ebbed and flowed at the top of the landing of my stairs. And I knew it was an entrance to another dimension. And I knew that sometimes I could get closer, but if I got too close, I was told to come back again. I wasn't allowed to go through that door. So I knew that kind of thing. I would sense things and they'd happen the following day. I would know people's thoughts and feelings. And I thought it was all completely normal. I thought everybody could do that, to be honest with you. And it wasn't until my dad died in a road accident when I was 9. About 2 days later, I was out walking the dog with my auntie. Everybody obviously was back at the house grieving. And my dad pulled up in a car and he went, "Don't worry, Nick, I'm okay." And I went, "Whoa, hang on a minute. My mum's just told me that, my daddy's dead. He's just driven past me." So I ran back really, really I was really angry and really full of rage. And you can imagine how heartbreaking that was for some of the other side of the family that not as spiritual, seeing me scream and rage at my mum, saying, "How dare you lie that my dad's dead?" And that was when my granddad, my dad's dad, which is a stronger side paternal, pulled me aside and said, "Listen, darling, that was Daddy's spirit you saw there. You're going to see angels. You're going to see special people that have passed over. You're going to see a lot of different things that most people can." And I kind of, I don't even remember. And even I asked my mum, I said, "How did I react to it when Granddad said it?" You just went, "Oh, right, okay." And then you just went off and played and did whatever you were doing. And so I just took it as for granted. And then when I started noticing as I got older, there's always tarot cards on the table. My auntie was a brilliant automatic writer. There were crystal balls, Victorian scrying plates that I've got now. And it was just, and tea leaves, the old-fashioned tea leaf reading. And it was all just completely normal. So I felt like a bit like Harry Potter. The muggles were out there and weren't awake or aware. I was living this, I always call it that. This people say, "How dare you call me a muggle?" But I just felt this, I walked in two different layers of awareness. And so my granddad didn't have a clue. He would talk to people that passed over all the time. And my nan used to say, "Fred, you're talking to a dead un again." He'd go, Oh, I'm so sorry, love. I'm so sorry. He just didn't care about the difference of the realities, 3D and 5D. Whereas with me, I'm totally aware of walking with them and totally aware of being here. It wasn't until I was in bed for 5 years, after my road accident, then I had to completely jump off the human wagon after I surrendered and get over to living complete spiritual, a spiritual reality, if you like, because the human side I couldn't cope with. And I think that was a big turnaround. And now there's a very happy balance, I'd like to say. Harmony, balance and zen around me.
The Inspire Health podcast will be right back.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Going through all of that, how do you perceive healing? From your perspective, how does healing sort of take place when we think about it from physical, mental, emotional, spiritual? From your experience, where's the interplay between them, or what was the most profound piece that really you felt opened up the doors to healing for your body?
Self-love. In the book, I take you through my trauma of my childhood. And I had a massive belief in my heart, soul and mind, despite all the work I was doing, that I didn't deserve it, that I didn't deserve to have good things happen to me, that people only like me because of my gift. So I had this real massive demon thing going on from abuse from my childhood, and the losses that I'd endured. And I had this belief system. And so when I started getting the visitations from the spirit people, the angels, the biggest thing that I kind of took on board was you need to want to heal yourself. You need to love yourself enough to want to heal. And it's very interesting because I think, with Mia, when she got diagnosed with Cushing's, I was on it, healing every day. And they said, "Well, why didn't you do that for yourself? Why don't you do that for yourself?" And so I'm like, yeah, that's fair enough. So the first thing I had to do was learn to love myself and that I deserved to heal, and because some people can come into victim mode when it comes to abuse. Some people can be aggressive. Some people hate themselves. And I really didn't like myself very much at all. And I certainly wouldn't have gone on in front of a camera to thousands, millions of people sitting in my pajamas in bed, which is what I ended up doing on, my YouTube channel and TikTok. And so, I thought I'm going to have to love myself a bit. And I found that writing the journal was a bit of self-love because I was giving myself some time to say how I was feeling, my emotions, what was going through in my head. And then I started thinking, well, I'll sit out in the garden. And it was not for a tan. It was to, listen to the bird song, listen to the wind going through the trees. And I started to appreciate things that I suddenly like doing. I suddenly realised I like war films. Because what I was doing was I realised that there was a codependency issue with me, that I'd want people to just want me and that I would shape myself to them. And then suddenly, when I was on my own, I started to discover what I loved. I loved watching little cuttings grow in plants. So I loved my garden. I loved war films. I loved recycling things. If I was well enough, just try and paint something. And it was all things, I'm quite proud of myself. I did that for me. And I realised that the healing process has to start within, but you have to want it. You have to believe that you deserve to have it. And I surrendered, and I lost the guilt I felt for the things that happened to me, because I blamed myself for my abuse. I blame myself for bad relationships. I blame myself for a lot. But then suddenly I started to see my inner child. And to remind myself of that, I've got a picture of me with one of my first ever dogs. And that's my inner child photograph. And I always recommend everybody to have one of those if they've gone through that kind of environment as they grow up, to look at a younger child that you want to look after and love. And so, for instance, now, with the healing has to start from within. You really want to do it. So we can all do the textbook. Oh, get some amethyst stone. Oh, yeah, listen to this meditation. Oh, take this. This will make you feel better. Back's remedy, listen, smell this oil. But you can do all that. But if your heart's not in it, or you don't feel like, you're good enough, or you don't love yourself enough to be the best you can, it's not going to work. I have got, and so many people, and they're going to ask it, why are you not fitting well now? I have got no clue, because I've done everything I possibly can now, because I've worked from within, and I actually love myself to say, yeah, you really deserve to have that mobility, that lack of pain, la, la, la. But it's still there, and I have no idea why. The difference is, though, is that I healed my mind. My mind, all of our minds have demons in them, monkeys that tell you you're not good enough, you're too big, you're too small, you're not tall enough, you're not short enough, or whatever. And so it's stilling those monkeys, stilling those demons, putting them away somewhere where they don't need to be, and just being a conduit for opening yourself to divine inspiration, divine guidance, not being all spiritually and frou-frou, because I haven't felt like that the last couple of weeks since my little fur baby died, but it's still there. It's still there somewhere, allowing it to flow in. It's okay. It's okay. You know that your baby's going to Rainbow Bridge. You know that you'll be able to see, and let's get to signs of synchronicity. And then this bit is, right, self-healing. What do we need to do? And so I did everything I could to make myself feel as comfortable and as best I can in the circumstances. And that's what I do now. I remember when I was still poorly, but my uncle died and I wanted to know where he was. And so I did a little cheat, went up there and said, right, show me what happens to a soul. And my goodness, it was the most incredible meditation of my life, with loads of synchronicities afterwards to back it up. And they basically showed me the soul journey straight after physical death, right the way round to when we're reincarnated for our next life plan, our next human experience. And so all of that I've got to get on paper, and they've given me a man-made map of heaven, because if you try and describe lights, frequencies, layers of, intelligence, quantum space, people would be like, oh, so I have to try and keep it in layman's terms, as simple as possible. So I said to them, take me through the main layers of heaven, if you like, the crystal palace, I call it, and map it out for me. And then I will deliver it to us down here in the best way I can, that will make it simple to describe heaven and why we're here, why we incarnate, and why we have such rubbish things happen to us, and why such nasty people have good things happen to them. It's all in there. It's just trying to get the time to do it.
Wow.
To do it all.
I wonder if you can share some of that with us. Can we get a preview to all of that? That sounds right in line with the series and what we're missing. Well,
something that
really?
A question that I think comes up a lot of times is when, especially when you look at stuff like, all the work around law of attraction, all these different sort of things that have come up in manifestation. And then you kind of wonder, well, why does sometimes it seems like such horrible people have such amazing things happen to them? So I would love to get some insight from what you've picked up around that. That would be, I think, really helpful for people too, to let go of some of it.
Young souls and old souls. So, and Juliana said, over the years, they've explained this to me. So what happens is, a young soul has basically been on the earth plane and he's gone up and he's whinging a bit, this young soul, because it's like, oh no, I want to crave money. I want to know what it's like to be rich. I want to know this. And a really shallow young soul that doesn't really want much depth or ascension. You know, he doesn't really care. So he's the robber that wins the lottery. You know, he's the person that gets discovered and then lives a life of fame, you know, in just a old school, whatever. You know, you think, if you notice, like, how the hell did they get there? It's just pure divine timing and chance. And then some of them notice they go home early because they say, oh no, yeah, but I don't want to come back. I want to come back again, but I want to do this time round. So they're thinking of all the shallow things they want to experience, right? As you get older and your soul cluster that come back down, as you get older, you see past the material illusion of this matrix we're in, if you like, right? And so you see past that and you want to have real soul interactions that make you either cry or laugh or break you or make you. And the older you get, the harder path you choose. Okay. And so there is this saying that, you know, well, it's not a saying, but what they say to me is your reward is to come back home. That's the hell down there, unless there's a reason for you to have that long life down here. So I say, well, hang on a minute, though. You've still got all these, you know, people still hurting people that are down there. And they said, well, the people they're hurting have chose that experience as well and are old souls. So the long and short of it is that the younger soul wants the more material experience because they still crave human experiences like money, wealth, happiness, you know, all of the kind of, not naughty, but just the shallow stuff. You know, that's what they want to come back and crave. And as you get older, you want to crave more meaningful experiences for your soul. And this is believed, this is what my granddad's told me up there, they've all told me over the years, is that this is all down to almost getting badges of accomplishment that your soul can then, because of the amount of knowledge it's gone through and the amount of experiences it's gone through, it's almost like you get promotions into different astral planes. I don't want to get too deep because that's when people go, and there's a flat line. They're like, no, I don't know where you're going with that. But it's all about soul ascension. So I get, especially TikTok, there's a lot of people on there that go, what are you talking about? I didn't ask for this life. Yeah, you did, actually. You did ask for it. Not all of it, but you would have signed up along the way for your soul guide to look at your landmarks and go, right, this is what you want to experience. I'll help you to try and tick off all of those. When you go back up for your life review with Archangel Jeremiah, found all this out. I didn't have a clue. I've got to make it clear from here. I don't read anything unless they tell me to read it, right? So I don't study or go and look at the archangels. They literally have popped in and gone, hello. I'm like, hello, who are you? I'm Jeremiah. Never heard of you, mate. Well, Google me. And he basically said, the older you get, the more experiences that you want to enrich your soul, because you get to a stage of deeper meaning where you want deeper connections with experiences down here, whether they're negative or positive. Obviously, you've also, on top of that, you've got the karmic reactions to what's going to happen in your next life. So perhaps if you didn't do something, perhaps if you took yourself over and you weren't supposed to, you have to relive karmic. Also, you may even pick to have some of the situations, I'll tell you, I'll explain it, situations in your past life that are interfering with your future. So, for instance, if this is quite a funny story, actually, my brother, Richard Morley, is an amazing psychic medium. He does loads of meditation now, but this was in the earlier years of when he first started doing readings, wasn't meditating a lot himself. He goes, what's this all about then? So I said, what's that? And he goes, it's ridiculous. And this was just as I got these messages about young and old souls. He goes, how is it that I've got this bloke who was a bloody horrible person? You know, he was drank a lot. He was really abusive to his children. Nobody really liked him. And he was really horrible. And he's still here. And yet I've got this lovely girl who was the lady's daughter who passed when she was 20 with a brain tumour. What's all that about? Like, whoa. Stop. And that's when I explained it to him as well. And so it's kind of like it was a message for me to go through to him. I said, now I'm teaching you. And he said, whatever, you're not teaching me. I just needed to know that. But that's all. So we have this lovely banter. But what works lovely is because we're in this same energy field, we cross stream. And so it's normally when I get told something, he'll go, what do you think on that then? And I go, oh my God, I've just been told that. So I'm like, yeah, this is what happens, so we kind of cross-stream each other on dealing with all different types of people. So on this karmic business, that's what I was going to say to you. So I was doing this meditation, and I met this, and I thought, oh no, please, no. So I was in my first ever proper development circle, right? And this is in part of Rise and Fall. And then I get the Native American guide. I'm like, oh, please no. Everybody's got a Native American guide. Please don't do this to me. And I've got this massive calling to Sedona and Arizona. Oh my God, I so got to go there. And closest I'll get is Florida. I'm in Florida working at a conference in October, which I can't wait. But I need to nudge over to like Arizona. Anyway, so I'm like, oh God, I've got this Native American. Oh God. So anyway, I come out of it, and my the circle leader, Aggie, says, oh, you've got a Native American guide. I'm like, oh, what joy, like everybody else. And so she said, no, he's called Calm, but he's got a hammer in his hand. I thought, hello, he did have a hammer in his hand. So his name's Hamhawk. It was then backed up when I went to what I call Hogwarts, which is the Arthur Findlay College, which is a psychic college based in Stansted, Essex, in England. Everybody goes there for courses. And it wasn't until I was in there, I don't want to do a spoiler because it was quite funny how this got given to me. But there was a lady in my room who then she drew guides, and she drew this like Native American with this feather. And she said, oh, his name's Hammerhawk. I'm like, oh my God. And it was my first real synchronicity of two different voices and two different sources of evidence to evidence my guide. I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry I took the mickey. Thank you. Please come here, Native American guide. Please come with me. I'm glad I've got you. And so I'm like, the only one I want now is a lovely gay man. I would love a gay man. So I've got my gay man, my Native American, and I've got my lovely Julianus, who's the lovely monk. And I'd just love to have a feminine energy like that, a really lovely, open-hearted fun, because I can get a bit serious. Anyway.
Maybe you've got enough spunk on your own that you
It could be. So he then says to me, so I'm sitting there with him, and he takes me through to our previous life. I then Google button the hell out of what he showed me, and it's all the Navajo Indians in Arizona, and he showed me all our tools we had, how we died. Anyway, he said, why do you think you've had problems with your wrists? I've broken both wrists twice, right? They're very, very weak. I can't even push myself up, right? And he said to me, why do you think you chose to look after rape victims? And then he showed me the previous life that I had with him back in the 1600s, right? And the white men were taking the land, and they'd got me as this young girl tied by my wrists and my ankles, and I was raped and then murdered. And he then took me through the rites and the funeral that a Navajo Indian would do, which I Googled, and it was all completely correct, so I knew it was true. And he used to call me Ankala, and he said that he was my dad. I later found out that that was a word used in those times for daughter. So he completely, proved his presence. And he said that was just a bit of karma that you had to just deal with from a previous life. And that was the wrists, the ankles, and me helping rape victims. I was also a victim of sexual assault when I was a child. And so I thought, wow, that's interesting. So part of another life that you're coming down on after 3 generations of being up, so that nobody knows you. So there's no loopholes of, oh my God, you look like my mum, you are my mum. Do you know what I mean? And there's no loopholes. And then when you come down, there's elements that you may have to deal with some karmic energy there. And then it's your soul path, and it's all about getting those badges to ascend your soul. And the oblivion, the amazing energy that we can arise to through human interaction down here and getting more and more knowledge is beyond words what we can become. We can become everything everywhere, but without getting too deep. I like to try and keep it that we're like people. We're not people. We're obviously spirit people. We're souls going back home to a source that we come from. But by giving it some humor, giving it some humility, giving it some reality to it, I feel that's why I do so well in getting across what I want to say to people, because I keep it real. I keep it simple. And every question anybody's ever asked me. If I don't know, I just go up and ask. And they're brilliant up there, as I say. Amidst the Valium and the, oh my God, Nicky's coming, don't look. I don't know if it's a help to people or not. It is to me. It is to me. Every single thing that happens to me, the signs, synchronicities, the information I get, the dreams I get, it just really comforts me that whatever losses I go through, whatever happens in my life, I know 100 billion%, I don't believe, I know that we will go back home to all our loved ones in our soul cluster, animals and humans, and then we just stay in this wonderful utopia, creating our own reality. I call heaven the reality layer, where we all live with who we want to, deal with who we want to, get rid of who we want to, and then we just live this eternal life. And then we decide to pop back down, madness, pop back down for another human experience. And the more beautiful and deep and older we are within our eternal beings, the harder our paths are. The trauma that people have, mass shootings and things that people have told me about their lives. And yet they've still got this inherent faith, this strength to know that it will all be gone and they'll be back up there and it will just be an experience that's just put in our little experience library. And that to me is just, nothing can beat that. I don't know how skeptics can live or how they cope thinking that it's all the end. Do you? How do they cope?
I don't know either. To me, it's like, especially when you're dealing with loss and things like this is why we're even doing this whole series, is to bring a different level of awareness for people to kind of create some more ease and comfort and expand our limited vision of this. And you were saying then we do this insane thing where we come back again. Mm-hmm. Do we collectively go through things? Because we've talked about sort of individuals, but I'm wondering, like right now, like just generally you look at the state of the world in many different aspects, and we're going through some pretty major changes and transitions, and a lot of stuff is coming to the surface. And I'm wondering if you can share your insights around that, and even where are we right at the moment in sort of close to getting middle of 2023 and gosh, like on health and economics and more and more control and regulation that seems to be coming in all over the place. So is this something that collectively we are all going through that's for all of humanity, not just individuals? And yeah, what is your take on that? What do you kind of pick up? What's going on?
Totally. I actually, when I lost my holiday home, and I'm sure I write about this in Me, Myself and I, or Me, Myself and I actually had the most incredible dream that I woke up, my friend woke me up hoovering and banging the door, who I was staying with at the time when I was homeless. And then I thought, I might as well get up. And then a voice said, go back. And I went back into this dream. It was the most incredible dream ever. It went on for another 3 hours. So I woke up at midday, and I know that you scientifically can't dream, like you dream in seconds, not hours. And so I wrote it out, and it was my first ever book, and I sent it out, and I just lost my confidence. And it's called Earthwalkers. And I'm wondering now if I should change it, because I did it as a fictional story, right? But chillingly, I think it was about 9 or 10 years ago when I wrote this, 9 years ago when I wrote this, everything I've written in it has come true. Right. So I've written about the terrorist attacks, and we had the Manchester bombing, and then we had Paris being bombed. I don't know if you remember that, when they literally were going around bombing everywhere in Paris day after day. Up there was a high court meeting to say Earth is in massive trouble. Humility's been lost. Respect for the planet. The animal kingdom's been lost. Everything has gone wrong. The material setup of what these little ants have tried to do is crushing in, because the powerful beings and the people that are trying to rule the world are trying to now do it, and it's evident. And so they decide, shall we save the planet, or shall we just literally just get rid of it, take all the light workers up, the higher conscious, the older soul clusters who can handle being on another planet telekinetically, and then we create a new dawn for them. Okay, or do we just, obliterate the planet, or do we try and save this one? So God, in my fictional story, says, well, no, I think we need to give it a chance. So what basically the story is that these four archangels come down, they connect with light beings down here, and then these happenings start taking place for people to wake up and realise that massive things need to change or the planet's going to end. And one of the things that the devil does is he creates this condition that if you touch someone or go near them, you catch it as well. But I depicted it with red eyes, and that if you stayed alive for 7 days, then you're part of the army. If your body couldn't take it, it just died, right? And that is just the coronavirus all over. It's the pandemic. And so there was all these things, and it gives me chills now that I wrote about the future. So really, that book wasn't a fictional story. Everybody wants me to publish it. I might run it through an editor and see what they think, right? Because it is the most incredible story ever, right? And what happens is that if I now integrate that into what the hell's going on with the world at the moment, it's exactly what's going on. The powerful, the quiet power lords, you know, that have been mushing around through their material companies, want more power over us. There, for some reason, there's an energy, and I have to come out of it. I have to be honest. I can't watch the news at the moment. And sometimes I have to come out of the spikes, the valleys and the troughs, and then the highs of humanity's energy, because we can feel that. We can feel the humanity energy because it is so corrupt and so in crisis and so in desperation that we're just being led like lambs to slaughter through the power and through whatever they're doing, through the phone signals. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but my brother has had more input in this, and he says that's going to happen next year. And he was so totally right. That's going to happen next year. Going to take this away from us now. And have you noticed how, and I've just done a video on this, funny enough, have you noticed how everything is so difficult? You don't get hold of your local counsellor, health problems, everything is so hard. You know, I've got people writing to me saying, you know, they've told me that I'm dying of cancer, but then I haven't heard from them in 4 months. And you're just like, everything is just breaking us down into submission for I don't know what. But I feel that it will come to a climax. On the same subject, or on the same token, light workers like us and people like us are getting more and more people come to us. I would never have imagined going on TikTok in a million years. No disrespect to the channel, but I never thought I would be welcomed or even go on there. And yet my dad forced me to. That's another story from the spirit world, and I'm on it. And you see all these broken people that are angry and they don't know where to go. But then you suddenly get them turn around and think, hang on a minute, she's got something to say there. We're like lost sheep. And I feel like light workers, old souls, healers, mediums, psychics, whatever you are all coming to shine a light, to get away from the material crisis and tyranny that's taking place. And it's all very quiet, and everybody tries to focus on things like the Ukraine war and, you know, the bigotry and what's going on with Putin, whereas they're not realizing that the big moguls like Amazon and all those people, Bill Gates, they're all in the motions behind us, finding more ways to control us. You know, I don't know if you've had it, but we had this 5-minute zone thing that's been implemented. To be honest with you, I haven't even gone on to look at it because of the riots that have taken place, where you're not allowed to leave your hometown. Mm-hmm. You're only allowed 3 times in a whole year to go beyond 15 minutes from your house. What's that about? And if you go beyond it, you're fined. You're not allowed to leave or travel around your country. And my brother predicted this. I said, don't be so ridiculous, Richard. He went, I'm telling you, I've seen it happen. My guides have shown me. We will have restrictions on where we're allowed to go, and there'll be armed presence there telling us we can't do anything that we want to. We've got no freedom. And my goodness, it's there. And I was watching the riots from a couple of months ago with armed police physically dragging people and, you know, throwing them around because they're asking for freedom. They're asking, you can't lock us in our town. But they're saying, yes, we can, and watch us do it. So I'm very, very concerned about it. And this is why I've never felt so passionate about trying to bring people over to their spiritual path and awaken their abilities so that they can find some form of comfort, some form of escape to the place where they belong or where they've come from, rather than just be sitting in this energy that's so dense and corrupt. What's going on now? Goodness knows what's going to happen in the US. I don't know what's going to happen there with all the presidential stuff. It's just politically, power moguls, money, all of these big moguls in all their different spaces are suddenly becoming predators. And again, I dreamt of that years ago, and that we had to try and dodge the predators so that we couldn't get caught in them, like Hunger Games, being put in districts. And this is what they're starting to do, put us in districts where we're not allowed to leave to go to another district. And so, all of this kind of stuff is like, whoa. So I then got too deep down that rabbit hole and thought, oh my God, what can I do? And I started to get quite anxious about it, because I'm thinking, what do you need me to do to try and help alleviate this problem? And it's just, we've got to let it ride, and we've just got to try and help people as much as possible reach that spiritual awakening. And so many are, which is really good. And so trying to wake people up, hopefully, if there is an eradication of the planet, which I don't feel at all at the moment, but, it's pretty close, they will go up to a higher consciously evolved planet. The younger souls, I don't know. I don't know if they'll diminish or they're kept somewhere in a different layout. I really don't know. It's not good at the moment. And I just feel like I would rather be in nature, listening to these silent voices that come to me and bring love and light and hope to people, rather get involved with all of the hate and the anger and all of the stuff that's going on that's trying to control us. I don't know if you feel that over in Canada, but it's like, I just don't like the world at the moment and the people running it anywhere. It just doesn't feel right. And I just hope that love, light, and this is again, that even in my story, the Earthwalkers, the 4 children that are chosen to help the archangels, because they can't be seen, the archangels, so they use these children that are enlightened, and even the children, Millennium Children, and they've got these titles of autism or ADHD, the human titles they're given, but really they are more spiritually aware than earthware, and they're the ones that hopefully are going to take us through and send the signals of empathy, love, peace, honor. Hopefully they'll be there to turn and flip this on its edge. It's slowly turning, but when I dip into it, it still feels chaotic to me. I don't know what you feel about it all, but I'm just feeling, I don't know which way it's going to land at the moment, but I feel like every spirit person, every light worker I speak to, they're all feeling the same, and they're all trying to do their best they can to spread their light into every dark corner there is.
The Inspire Health podcast will be right back.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
And I think it's intense in a lot of places. I know here we were at a district meeting a little while ago in our town.
So this is in Canada.
This is in Canada, yeah, around 15-minute cities. And I asked the council there, and they were aware of it, but they get a very small piece. So they get it piece by piece. They get a little piece of it, and then they don't really get the next piece. So, from their perspective, because we had seen a lot of what was going on in the UK, and it's like Canada's very much in line with, I think, what goes on there. Most people aren't aware of it, or they think it's conspiracy, but it's like, it's actually going on. Like, go look.
I know.
And then we check with the council, like, yep, we're aware of that. And then, but they know one small piece of it. So from their perspective, it's almost like, well, it's not going to be like this. That's all conspiracy stuff. It's like, well, it's kind of funny that the first infrastructure thing that seems to go up is surveillance cameras. There's tons of them everywhere. That was one of the first things that came up. And so I guess on your note, when you're talking about spreading more, get people to kind of connect more to their spiritual self, the reason I think that is so important too is because I know for us, and I know even the people we've reached in doing the podcast, when people connect more to that, they then show up and make decisions in a different way in the world. And so it seems to me that when you are connected to that, when you're connected more to what you really do feel like is your truth or your true self, you then are not okay with certain things. I think you feel the rub more. You're less likely to be okay with certain things that really do feel like
an insult to your soul.
Right. Exactly. So
yes, that's exactly it, darling. That it is an insult to your soul, isn't it? Absolutely, I completely agree. And the thing is that once I start going on that thought process of what's happening in the planet, then I start feeling the ups and downs, the spikes, and then I start incorporating all the, the child abusers, animal abusers, and I think, oh, the world's all going wrong, and I get so caught up in it that I just think I need to let it lie. I'm sure there'll be activists and people that will do what they need to do materially to sort this out, however it works. But I feel that as light workers, we are the people that are just bringing awareness, encouraging people to awaken and to take that path. And, I do an online course, Prism Living, which is exactly that. It's to open your path to spiritual awareness, and it's all to do with chakras, angels, all the normal stuff that you need to take on board. It's 7 weeks. And there are so many people that said, you know what, I had a bit of this when I was younger and I really want to have a little go at your course. And they are flying. There's one who I said, you've got Reiki energy in you. She goes, how do you know that? I said, I don't know. I know I'm emailing you, but I can feel it. You really need to grab hold of that. She goes, oh, I used to do it. But she's working in churches already now. And she's like, I'm a Reiki healer. Come and see me. Come. And she would have nothing to do with it. And now she's going, come on. Come to me. And she's got people saying, oh, can you come and work here? Can you come and do this? And then another one, oh, I used to, do readings for people. She's back in there doing readings for them. Oh, I'm going to start doing a crystal healing course now. And I'm watching people that were perhaps forgotten how awakened they were, blooming and bringing that light out. And I think that's what's happening. That's our job at the moment, is to keep bringing people out the light. Because I call it, I'm not going to, I'm not going to use a rude word, but I feel like mushrooms. We're like left in the dark in poop and just fed a bit of light now and then. What a fun guy, darling, through mushrooms. And I'm thinking, do you know what? I don't want to wait for your little crumbles of light. Oh, we're going to help the crisis of living. We're going to help with the virus. We're going to give you injections. We're going to give you IDs and all this rubbish. I want the light here from my divine beings. That's what I'm going to live by and share. And the little morsels they're feeding us mushrooms, they can crack on with it. I'm just trying to do as much as I can to help people, because I get so many people genuinely terrified of the future, of the war. And I've just had a baby. Should I have done that? And, is there going to be a third world war? What's happening? Da, 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 da. And there's so many people like scaring them to a certain extent. But there's others that keep it well balanced, which they should do, and tell people really what's going on. And I really do just say to them, do you know what? I feel exactly the same, but I can't go there. But I can show you another place we can go, which will make you feel amazing. And will help you to help others, and it will help you to bloom and shed your light and find out where your place is here spiritually. And that's a lot better way of doing it, rather than watching conspiracy theorists and thinking of the next way to rise against the government.
Nicky, where can people learn more about the work that you're doing? Where can they get access to your books, the journal, the course that you have, all of that? Where can people go and learn more about your work?
Oh, thank you. Obviously, the first go-to will be my website. That's got absolutely everything on it. It's Nicky, NICKYALAN. I work in my memory of my dad's name, .co.uk. The website is pretty much got everything on it. However, if you go to my YouTube channel, The Bedroom Guru, that also has got all the links to everything if you want to buy things or, but yeah, Amazon.co.uk, Amazon.com, and Amazon for Canada. They're worldwide available. Just come say hi on my YouTube channel or TikTok. Come to my website if you want to email me about anything. I will tell you now, though, my email is just through the roof. So you may not get a reply very soon. So really, it's best to just have a look at the shop, come and say hi and comment on my videos on YouTube. That community is beautiful. I found that, I've obviously shared my loss with Mia. I know I keep going on about it, but it's still quite raw. It's only a week and a half ago. And yet I then watched other people comforting other people that are going through loss. And there's a real lovely vibe going on in that community. I call them my tribe. They're just such beautiful people. So if you feel lost or you want to learn things, because it's tutorials, my experiences, guided meditations. I do a few cheeky tarot readings. I do a few spirit readings, and it's just a lovely place to be. So social media, definitely YouTube and TikTok, or just Google Nicky Alan medium, and hopefully everything will come up that what interests you.
Awesome. We will put all of those links in the show notes so people can go check out that work. Yeah, definitely go check out the YouTube channel, and lots of great information on there and lots of support, and just also like a beautiful community. I mean, that's really important right now. It's like be a part of different communities that are uplifting like we talked about earlier.
Yes, absolutely
Nikki,
right.
thank you so much for your time. That was really wonderful.
No, namaste to you, my darlings. I love your vibration. It's been an absolute honour to come on, and thank you for being so patient when I just talk and talk and talk.
Thank you so much, Loken.